We're back here, WHIP Radio here in Philadelphia. Let's try to reconnect with Darryl Hamilton. Darryl, Zach Gelb, and Chase Sr., thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic, and this has been a bizarre World Series, but it's been an exuberant one as well. We've seen obstruction calls, pickoff calls, even a paper airplane last night, one in front of John Lester, and David Ross had the big heroic hit last night. This is going to be an interesting series to see how it plays out for the rest of it. Boston now goes back there, and you have the young Waka on the mound. Is this too big of a stage going back home to Boston with Waka on the mound? Because he's been excellent this year.
No, I don't think so. I think in the league championship series, he showed being the MVP there that it's not going to affect him. But it's a little bit different. It is different in the sense that it is the World Series. And I don't know how he's going to react to this because this is really the first time we've seen the Cardinals with their back against the wall. And they've been playing well throughout. There's no doubt about that. But this is a very young ball club. And you don't know how these kids are going to react. Again, with their back against the wall, but it should be interesting the next few days.
And when you look at Boston, the big player for them has been Big Papi. He's batting .733 in this series, and he's having singles, having doubles, has 2 home runs in this series, and even the one out that he did make was that long rob grand slam from Carlos Beltran. Have you ever seen a player been this hot in the postseason? Because it's really remarkable what he's doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's one of these guys who, just like any other superstar, can be streaky at times. But right now, he's on a great streak, and the ball looks like a beach ball at this point to win. So he's locked, and I think obviously the Cardinals understand it, so they're trying to do their best to pitch around him. But I think it's more important when he comes up with men on base because you can't pitch around a guy when you got guys on base. So the Red Sox have struggled at the plate except for Peturia and Big Papi, and if those two guys continue to do what they're doing, then this game is going to end tomorrow night.
Hey, Darryl, it's Chase Sr. Thanks so much for joining us. We've seen all season that the Red Sox have been a very resilient team, probably one of the most resilient squads I've seen in my lifetime. Have you ever seen or been around a ball club that has been as resilient as the 2013 Boston Red Sox? Because it seems as though every time they're knocked down or they lose a game in the postseason, they come back with one of their best performances.
Well, I don't call it being resilient. I mean, you're talking about when you're saying a team is resilient, you're saying that team's not that good. This is the best team in the American League, and they've been that way from day one. So I don't look at them being resilient to say, okay, they're playing above their talent pool and they're doing things that we don't expect them to do. No, I mean, Boston was the team I picked coming out of spring training to get to the World Series. And let's not forget, they are a very, very, very good ball club. And they've got some players that have been there before. They've got an organization that's been there before. And they're on a great streak right now. And right now they're playing better than anybody else out there. And it'll be interesting to see how young Walker pitches tomorrow night. Because if there's ever one pitcher who can go out there and shut down any ball club, not just the Red Sox, it's Michael Walker.
John Lackey gets a start in Game 6 against Michael Wacha. We mentioned earlier that Wacha's been superb all postseason long, and John Lackey has really rebounded from a couple of disastrous years with the Boston Red Sox. We saw him pitch the other night coming out of relief, but when he's on the mound, he's very intense, and he's a go-getter. Do you expect any ill effects from Lackey on the bump, considering that he did pitch out of relief the other night?
Yes and no. I think in normal circumstances you would see there may be a little bit of an effect, but we're talking about Game 6 of the World Series, so he's going to be sky high, and he's going to go out there to try to end this thing. But, we saw him during the regular season, and there were question marks. Could he be consistent? Can he go out there and pitch well? In the playoffs, he's done very well. So we got to ask ourselves, will we see the same John Lackey who's been doing what he's doing in the playoffs, or will we finally see a guy who struggled that time during the regular season? I don't know the answer, but it'll be interesting the first couple innings to see how he pitches. And I think it's more important for the Cardinals to put a little pressure on him and score a couple runs early on to kind of take the pressure of them being eliminated out of the picture.
Darryl Hamilton from the MLB Network joins us. Darryl, a few more questions right before we let you run. Shane Victorino hasn't played in the last 2 games of this series. You go back to Boston. Do you think he'll get the start in the outfield for Game 6 tomorrow night?
Well, his back has obviously been giving him a problem for him not to be in the lineup the last happen. So I expect this day off being very critical for him to find out if he's going to be back in there. But if you're the Red Sox, do you want him back out there? I mean, they've done very well. The simple fact that he's been on the bench the last couple of nights, and that's just the fact that guys are picking each other up. And that's important when you have a championship ball club. So I don't know. If he's at 90%, 80%, I think he may be out there. But at this point, you know, and John Darryl has kind of done it and alluded to the fact that if he's going with a winning hand, he's going to stick with him. So at this point, I would say no, he's not going to be in the lineup.
A big story going into this series was what was going to happen in St. Louis with the DH situation not being available. Farrell elected to start Big Papi at first for all 3 games. No one's complaining about that because he's been outstanding in this series. But now they go back to Boston and they add Napoli into the lineup. That's a big advantage for the Red Sox to get Napoli, who's been a hot bat since the ALCS, back in the swing of things.
Yeah, that helps. But isn't it kind of funny that you're talking about teams that were playing in American League ballpark with the DH, then they go to the National League park without the DH, and the National League team is more effective not having a DH. And you look at what's been going on and how the fact that Napoli hadn't played that much and hadn't played at all in St. Louis, you would figure that would affect them. But it hadn't. They had found a way to turn around and win games that they probably should have lost. So, I mean, it's important to get back and get him back in the rhythm of things. But to be quite honest, I mean, they've done well. Again, they've done well without him. And does another bat help? Absolutely. But I think the Red Sox are in a great position at this point.
Darryl, just real quick, what are your thoughts on the DH? I know Bud Selig has pondered the thought of possibly adding a DH to the National League, but it also will take away from that traditional baseball sense in the NL. Do you like the designated hitter role or not?
Well, it's good to separate the leagues. I mean, it's important to have some variety and something different. I'd say if you're going to sit there and say that the DH is going to go in both leagues, then my suggestion is raise the mound back to where it was in 68. Because you're adding another offensive power in a lineup, and the pitchers should get some advantage as well. So if you want to do that, the DH, and put it in both leagues, that's fine, but raise them out.
Darryl, we appreciate the time today. Best of luck moving forward, and enjoy Game 6 of the World Series on Wednesday night.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Darryl Hamilton right there of the MLB Network.